Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It is Paula here from Ohana Therapeutic Massage coming on to share with you some tips about finger self-care. As weird as it sounds, a lot of times, especially as we age, we develop arthritis or different like joint issues in our hands. And as humans, we do everything, we interact with the world with our hands. We do a lot of gripping. We do a lot of like closing our fists and those certain types of just different motions like that. But the thing that we don't do, especially as technology kind of takes over more and more of our lives, is move our hands and our wrists through a full range of motion. A lot of times we're holding the phone and we're scrolling like that, or we might be scrolling like this, or we're typing on a keyboard, but we're not actually moving our hands through an entire range of motion. And unfortunately, when our body does the same motion over and over and over again, it starts thinking, okay, this position is where I need to be at in life. So I'm going to build protection and coping mechanisms around that specific motion so I can keep doing it over and over and over again. So unfortunately, if we're going like this, it'll tighten all of our wrist flexors here, and our body is going to think that this kind of collapsed state for our hand is our new normal. So to prevent that and a little bit of self-care, I'm going to invite you to do a little bit of what I call joint play. I'm going to just walk you through the basic principles of this technique or this concept or this philosophy. I invite you to modify it to how it meets your body best at home. But keep in mind, I'm going to instruct this from a myofascial release basis, which means we don't force anything. We listen to the body, we respect where it's at, and we just don't try to coerce it into doing something that it doesn't want to do. This is especially important if you do have some sort of inflammatory condition, including and not limited to arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis in your hands. If your knuckle is already extremely swollen, do not do this technique until that inflammation comes down. That part of your body is already doing a lot of work. We don't want to ask it to do more. Okay, so now that I've done all my disclaimers for this, I'm going to come closer to the video so that I can show you on my own hand. Now, keep in mind, we have a lot of joints in our hands. So I'm going to show you this on my pointer finger on either side, but you can do it on every single one of your joints, especially if you have thumb issues. I would recommend you doing this to your thumb. Keep in mind, some people's anatomy of their thumb will cause it to hyperextend like mine. I get a hitchhiker's thumb. So when you do this technique, you need to bring that thumb into neutral for that. So you want it to be in a straight line. So the first step of this technique, as I come close, we're just going to have your hand in a comfortable rested position. Ideally, you'd be kind of like resting on a table or something or in your lap. Then you're just going to go to the joint. We're going to start at this closest joint here. You're going to gently hold your finger in between. I have my hand kind of circulating around. Then you're just going to very, very gently push the joint closed and open it up. Now, as you can see, I am not moving my hand very much. With this, if your fingers are white knuckling, you are doing far too much pressure. If your joint has to buckle, you are doing far too much pressure. It is a very, very gentle, slow motion. We're just going to keep just kind of compressing and decompressing the joint. What this does is it allows the body to go, oh wait, I need to fill this space that you're creating with lubrication. So as you do this, and the more often you do it, you will actually teach your body to hydrate the individual joint to get the blood flowing in and out of it, making your joints a lot healthier. So again, we're just gently compressing and very gently decompressing. Now, as I do this, if I wanted to turn it into like a John Barnes myofascial release technique, I would very, very, very slightly compress, and I would hang out with that slight compression for that 3 to 5 minute mark. But for the sake of timeliness in this video, I will not do that. But you would then follow it with the decompression, and you would open it up again for that 3 to 5 minutes without forcing, just hanging out at that barrier, waiting for your body to create that space. So again, for the sake of the video, I will go to my next joint. So I'm going to go down a little bit further. Now I'm going to hold the bone right here between these two joints. And again, I'm just going to slowly, slowly hang out. I'm going to gently, gently compress the joint. Again, not a lot of actual range of motion here. It's a small joint. And then I'm going to slowly, slowly, slowly extend it out. And you can just do this in and out just to kind of create a pump in the area, or you can do it as a more like formalized mouthwash release stretch where I would hold it in that compressed position for 3 to 5 minutes. And then I would slowly decompress for 3 to 5 minutes. And again, you can then repeat a little bit further down, holding the tippy tip of your finger. Again, making sure it's in a correct alignment. We don't want to be doing this at a bent state because then we're teaching the body that it needs to hydrate that joint from a bent state instead of an open state. So again, I'm just going to very, very slowly compress in. And then very, very slowly decompress out. And so you can do this, like I said, just as a individual finger technique. You can do this as just I'm creating a pump through the area, or you can do it as a full mouthwash release stretch if you have like a particular joint that tends to bug you more. For example, I see a lot of people with this first knuckle or this joint down here that gets really jammed. You could just do a mouthwash release stretch on that joint, or you could do it on the whole hand. It really depends. What I like about joint play and using it as like a reminder and a cue for my body to keep creating that lubrication in all my finger joints, I do it when I'm watching TV, when I'm standing in line at the grocery store. Nobody knows you're doing it. You're just holding your finger and you're just slightly compressing and slightly pulling it. And that's it. Super, super simple. You can do it anywhere in life. I think that's all I have for that for the moment. There is also joint play from like a side to side in a rotational motion, which I would encourage you to like move your fingers through that kind of range of motion. But from a joint play standpoint, unless you're super familiar with your joints and you're super comfortable and aware of what's going on in your tissues, I don't recommend you like reefing your fingers around unless you do have a high level of mobility already or a high level of self-awareness, because I would hate to have somebody injure themselves accidentally because they're trying too hard with the technique. So there is our joint play and our finger exercises. Again, you have a lot of joints in each of your hands. So pick one at a time, one finger at a time. The most affected finger, if that's your pointer finger or your thumb, middle fingers I see a lot too, pinkies. The ring finger's starting to get more affected with that weird angle that we're holding our phone at. Anyway, so if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can put them in the comments. Otherwise, this is the first release of my new self-care series. Keep in mind, I'll be releasing about one a month of different types of self-care videos. So let me know if there's anything you want to see. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantabulous day, and I will see you next time.